All-wheel drive, what's up? Hey guys, it's a very early morning today, and in this part of California, Southern California, that's the best time to get out and ride if you want as much of the road to yourself as you could possibly get. So here I am out in the canyons in Orange County rather, and today I got a chance to take a ride on a bike that I've been talking about, thinking about, kind of did a little bit of a preview about, and it was a conundrum of do I or don't I? And this is an opportunity for me to find out, do I want to or do I not? So today I've got this as my supporting cast, or maybe I'm the supporting cast. Super Duke 1290R, and in all its beauty and glory. And I'm pretty excited. And riding it here, I was just really amazed at its range. I mean, the power band is sick. This is probably as ballistic and psychotic of a bike as I've ever ridden. I kind of got on it a little hard on the way up the hill, and shifting from 4th to 5th under full throttle with the quick shifter, the front end started to lighten and wobble a little bit as it kind of hovered off the ground. And I won't tell you what speed that was, but I can just say when you're at that speed, you kind of feel like a MotoGP racer at that point. I took it through some light corners and was really impressed at the way that this thing handles corners. You just basically turn the bike into the corner, pitch it in, and just go with it. It just flows so smooth in and out of corners. You don't even have to reposition your body. You just take a lean, a light lean that way, light lean that way, and it just starts carving it up. And I'm feeling very strongly about it at this very moment. So I'm gonna go take it through the hills and the corners of this little section I'm on now. And I'm gonna put the camera on so you guys can see what it's like from my perspective. As you can hear, there are a lot of people doing the same thing. So it's mostly bikes out here right now, but this is the best opportunity to do this. And so we're gonna get going. All-wheel drive, let the excitement begin. Ready to race. Alright guys, it's about to get real right now. I don't know if I mentioned this, but the power on this thing is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. Now I have the traction control engaged, and it'll still try and pull wheelies, and it will pull wheelies. But because I haven't committed to buying this bike yet, I'm not going to go too nuts with it. Plus I don't know it well enough to manage it as freely as I'd want to in terms of doing wheelies. Am I afraid of it? Yeah, I am afraid of it. I'm afraid of all bikes to some degree, but some bikes you just have a level of confidence on that you know that you can regain composure and maintain control no matter what the situation might be or what challenge is thrown your way in the middle of a situation. And I do know that that could be the case with this bike once I got to know it, but I haven't had any seat time on it other than this very moment to know if that's the case yet. So it's going to take a while. I never just jump on a bike and just
assume I know what I'm capable of on it, or what its limits are, until I've had some time to really sort of figure out its nuances. How's it going to pitch into the corner? How's it going to power out of the corner? Am I going to be laying rubber through corners? You know, that sort of stuff. You got to get, I'll say, acclimated to the bike before you can try and enforce your wheel on the bike, because it may not react the way you think it will. It might not do what you think it's going to do. But I have found that in fourth gear, you really increase your learning curve. You can seriously manage its power, manage its steering and geometry really well. And you've got enough juice on tap to ease into a corner and power out of a corner as smooth or as aggressive as you like. No? There's a lot of crap on this road today, it seems. But this road is very, very grippy. If you're going to get traction on any road, definitely you will on this one. You're not going to slip on this thing as easily as you would on some of that real smooth tarmac. Now the real obvious thing here is the sound, right? It's beastie, which is why it's dubbed the Beast. And that's exactly what it is. I've not ridden this bike for more than 30 minutes, and I've already got calluses from just trying to keep my grip on the throttle and hold on to the bike. Man, this thing handles. Holy cow, this thing handles. The fact that it's a very narrow bike because it's a V-twin, it's very tall in the way that you sit on it. I feel like I'm on a dirt bike, and for those of you who have ridden dirt bikes, you know what I'm talking about. You're up on the bike, yet you're also in the bike, meaning that the tank rises up far enough that you're basically like you're in a saddle. But the dirt bike, you know, the dirt bike experience ensures that you have really good control, and it's something to get used to if you've been riding what I've been riding for the last few months, which is street bikes. I mean, not that this is a street bike, but I mean sport bikes. And those bikes are a very aggressive position, and while a lot of those are fairly comfortable, alright, we're gonna have to turn traction control off. This bike, you feel like you're sitting in a very comfortable and controlled position, but it's an odd position to be in until you're used to it on a bike that has this much performance prowess. So I'm going to take a second to get the traction control, because that's got to go if I'm going to have any fun. There we go. So yeah, the handling on it is amazing because you have such a good position. Like I said, I have to get used to it because I haven't been riding a bike like this for a long time. I haven't had my single R for a couple of years. 3 to be exact. And that bike sits more like a sport bike, a full sport bike, because it's derived from a sport bike. The Super Duke is just its own model. It doesn't share anything with any other bike. So it doesn't have a similar situation on something else that you might ride. So you got to get used to what this thing is independently. Meaning you can't go from a double R to a single R and feel familiar in this situation. There is no equivalent to the Super Duke. But once you feel like you've kind of gotten situated, man, it's just flawless. And you can ride it fast a lot easier than you can on a lot of these high-powered sport bikes. Now the obvious thing that you're going to have with this bike is buffeting, because you're sitting straight up. So the wind is going to be all up in your grill. On the ride out here, I was on the freeway, and the thing I've noticed a lot on the freeway was that it just didn't feel nearly as confidence inspiring. Like I felt like I needed to be mindful about how I ride it on the freeway, speed wise and positioning. Like you couldn't just relax your body completely because it just didn't feel as natural as on the sport bikes. But in the corners, it feels like it has just as much, if not more, than a sport bike. Now I will say this, the suspension is not nearly as taut as a sport bike variety. But if you're good at any kind of riding, it's not something you're gonna feel disadvantaged by. I don't feel like this bike is falling short in any way to the bikes I'm typically riding. Now that was a little bumpy and the bike did jump a little bit. So there's where you'll notice that it's not sport bike like. So if you're going over imperfect terrain or roads, man, that's beautiful. You'll want to be mindful of how aggressive you go. That section there was a little bit bumpy, and of course it was off camber and in blind. And so like I said, not really knowing how this chassis is going to respond to a real hard and heavy cornering scenario. And it's not mine yet to brake. I'm trying to be considerate and mindful of all that. But as I said before, in fourth gear, I feel super confident just easing it in. And when you hear that throttle, man, oh, you hear that exhaust, I mean, it's just freaking flipping amazing. You can turn it, 90-degree turns are a cinch. And that was something that I didn't like about my single R. Is I really couldn't do that. Your turn lock was really compromised. This thing turns like a dirt bike. KTM is known for dirt bikes. So when they decided to build a freaking race bike, they made a good one. Now this ain't really a race bike, but man, you wouldn't know it by the way that it handles. Because it does that in spades. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do here with this thing. in terms of making it, you know, my selection for riding. He's on a small bike, this guy in front of me, and he's got a lot more. He can maintain momentum better because his bike's light. It's probably more track focus in this. He's not going to carry too much speed any given time, whereas the bike I'm on, this thing is a beast. And so once you twist that throttle, you better be ready to handle what comes next. But from this experience, I can definitely say the Super Duke is no joke. It's all that it's cracked up to be. And so it's definitely something that you want to be thinking about if you want a naked bike that will give you everything. Comfort, handling, and from a power standpoint, I dare say I don't really feel like there is a bike out there, super sport, hyper sport, whatever the case may be, that is going to be able to blow this thing away. I really don't think there is anything. I mean, you got bikes with 200 horsepower and upwards of that, and I don't know. I just don't think there's anything out there that's gonna give you the same kind of rush. This is a bike that will always put a big grin on your face every time you ride it. And as you become comfortable with it, as you become more confident riding it, you'll only get more out of it. It's only going to impress you that much more. And that's kind of the beauty of this bike. definitely feel like this is an all-around bike. Other than not being able to go off-road as if you would on the GS, you can do anything on this bike you want to do. And I mean, if you put the right tires on it and some protective plates, I dare say you probably could go off-road with it. You want to put it in rain mode, but you could do it. I mean, it sits up high enough. But basically, this bike feels to me like a extreme supermoto. Basically. A little bit more comfortable. I think you can ride this bike a lot further than you could a lot of different bikes. And that's a testament to the build, design, and quality. Because I don't feel like there's anything I have to worry about. I mean, at one point I was concerned about electronics. I heard about a warranty scenario that I can't say whether it's completely true or not, but it does raise the brow, make you wonder if it's something you want to take on. I mean, what's the cost to fix this thing if you have an issue? I mean, you got a TFT screen, replace that. I mean, if it's an ECU issue, is that programming? I don't know. It's like buying anything else that's high-end, right? You buy a BMW motorcycle, the maintenance is going to be expensive. Let's just be honest. It is. And as long as you're okay with that, it's not an issue. I mean, if you're going to compare bikes to like high-performance supercars, let's just call this one let's call it a GT3. Why not a Hurricane? Well, because it's not that extreme. It's not that extreme a bike. Basically, you can run with a Hurricane in a lot of situations, but if you need to use it every day, you need the flexibility of something that's really reasonable. There you go. It's a GT3. And with a GT3 comes a price tag. With a GT3 comes maintenance costs that are a bit exorbitant. I mean, only if you don't understand the situation in which you're getting. You buy a bike like this and think it's going to be Honda CBR maintenance, you bought it under false pretenses and you probably shouldn't have bought it. If you're buying this bike because you can afford the payment, you probably shouldn't buy it. If you can't afford the bike, don't buy the bike. So that said, I think my hesitation about that is pretty much removed. And there's always third-party aftermarket products you can buy for anything that'll cover you. I don't know what the fuel range is or the tank range is in terms of miles, but I think that if you run this thing conservatively, when you're able to refrain from riding it ballistically, you can probably get quite a bit of distance. And I'm not really sure the tank capacity yet. I'll have to look at the specs, but and understand that my excitement to ride the bike has superseded my desire to go and look at all the details, right? I don't know off the top of my head right now what the power is. I don't know what the torque is. But knowing what this bike is and reading about it in the past, I mean, I've seen those numbers. I've not committed them to memory. I don't really care. It's not really what's on my mind. It's not going to change how I feel. And if I'm to buy this bike, it doesn't matter.